All right, want to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting.
Right year. It's 25, not 24.
That'll take me a while too.
January 6, 2025. Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas. And we'll start off with introduction to the board. And visiting participants, so.
Phil Rubtley?
Larry Jarvis.
Jessica Eagles.
DJ.
Reach out.
And hopefully our chair, Dean, will be here shortly.
I'm Peter Letourneau. Visiting members, we've got
Dave and
Tryhard,
Sally.
yeah. And Sally and Susie. Okay.
It's been a rough year already, huh?
Yeah. No, I'm just letting them. And Jesse Woods. And on the agenda this evening, we've got change on the agenda, public comments, Director Susie Hall-Parent, Cassavant on the Opera House, Garrett Wolski, the ambulance director, Joey Clark, our highway administrator, budget reviews, and
7:30 adjourn.
yes.
Here we go. Let's go.
Keep it rolling.
So, have we got anything? Have we got anything to add to this?
You got something
Well, we
written?
got the executive.
Well, you have to state it because it's not
Oh,
written.
okay. Executive and end of
End of session.
session resolution. So,
I'll make a motion to add that onto the agenda.
A second.
so it's been moved and seconded that we add the executive and adjustment resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
All those opposed? So passed. We got anything else to add? No? All right then.
Public comment.
Yeah, we'll jump right into public comment. So,
Comment away.
Okay, so, I shouldn't tell you this, I'm sure I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So, I titled my list, Venting My Frustrations.
Do you want a chair, Dave? No.
So, no. So, one thing that I do is I pay attention to flags, especially the American flag. And I noticed that our American flag up here is still full staff. Most flags on municipal buildings in the country are half staff right now.
right. We'll adjust that
Yeah, it's a federal thing, yeah.
with
I did lower the one at the Armory,
yep.
and that one down there is getting a little ratty again. And Billy Joe has ordered a new flag for us. So, anyway, that takes care of the flags.
Who does that here at this building?
Nobody.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know if it was weather related or.
So just a little history. I did put that flag up.
Oh, you
I don't
did?
know.
Well, we don't have a person who
Oh, okay.
Um,
been down.
Okay.
It got really ratty,
Yeah.
and I went to the Legion.
That's awesome.
The next thing on my list is at the skating rink. By the way, the skating rink I think is, in my way, I think it was doing pretty good this year, except that we had a meltdown, you know, about
Summerthaw.
a week ago, and now we've got a
I'd
nice
like to go, but I'm afraid of breaking a hip at my age.
road. Yeah. So it's going pretty good. At the Winter Festival of the Parade, our daughter Julie made pizza, and we made enough money on that to buy some outdoor speakers.
wow.
Outdoor speakers. So,
Thank you.
so if you go there, you can take the playlist on
I
your
thought I
phone.
heard music the other day.
Well, it's going to be better music there.
Okay, but I thought I did. Last week
That's
I was
coming out of
across
the
it.
silent
Okay.
No, I don't. We might get in trouble for.
I was gonna say, are you gonna break the noise ordinance?
I think we were thinking about playing some rap music.
Perfect.
So, The other thing, I don't know if I mentioned, it'd be nice if we had some outlets on the side of that building, on the side toward the rink. So for instance, we can plug those speakers in, but I can also plug the lights for the rink in. Right now, I'm running an extension cord on the road side of the building, up under the siding, and then.
So there's nothing in that,
Cold storage
Cold
building,
storage.
or there
Well,
was
there's
nothing?
outlets in there,
Inside,
inside.
but nothing outside. So.
yeah, but they could probably, somebody could
Why, just
run,
pour it off that, pull
Oh,
it off
there's-
something.
put it outside.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
There's a box right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it just needs to be
Somebody called him.
wired in.
Okay.
I was wondering, you know, I would be willing, I hope I have time before I'm gonna have surgery in a couple of weeks, but I could, if you give me authority, I could talk with Tim and get an estimate. Would that work? Give it to you folks?
Go ahead and do it.
I was gonna mention to it tonight anyway, Dave. You and I had talked
Yeah.
about the outlets, like you
I
said.
think if
but-
he has the time, you should
Where,
just have.
where do you know where you want them? You can mark it over there
I
somewhere?
can do that, I can mention it.
I'm gonna say, Dave and I went over it, so I know where he wants to have them.
Yeah, Jesse knows pretty
Yeah.
much. Other than that.
cause in the summer months, you could, when the ground's frozen, you could probably put some underground conduit with a riser somewhere near the sink, and just, rink.
Yeah,
I'm surprised there's not some outside of the guard unit.
They're all towards the, parking lot. So when they parked all their equipment out there, it was all on that, would that be what the west side would be? Yeah, on that side, that's
Yeah.
why.
Oh, yeah, against some.
Remember how those ones on the two
We
wires
could
are
do
forward?
that, do a pole out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
but for something for now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Dave.
so the other thing is that, every year this time when I go down there and I get near the armory, something gets after me and says, what's happening here?
That's an easy.
So, just out of curiosity, what is happening at the armory?
Similar to what we talked about before, Dave, with that whole, with the salt and sand shed and what's going on in there, until we can get that moved and out of there, that's what's holding things up,
You
so,
legally can't even,
yeah.
legally.
We got the material.
The material, so, you know, it obviously needs to be undercover, and we can't sell it. So
There's a
for
lot-
now, we have to wait.
There's a lot of room in there, that could be moved down to the north end.
If stuff, the only problem is if stuff goes up missing too, that's the other, that's
We
the
did talk
other
with the
fear.
fire marshal though, and they aren't crazy about.
No.
Yeah,
building
so we
that
got
stuff.
certain stipulations in there.
Yeah, yeah, he's not wild about that in there and
If-
everything in there.
If it wasn't a public building, they'd probably be
Right.
like, yeah, okay.
It's, in my mind, it's unfortunate that it seems like there are two projects that are kind of mixed up and turned into one.
What do you have stored in there?
The armory is a project, the salt
Lumber
shed.
and-
it's all said building,
Materials?
because
Yeah.
they were building at their site. When we stopped everything, not knowing that, and with all language that we had to take it. And it had to be put somewhere as undercover. But
Walls
we
and
can't,
plates.
we're kinda in litigation right now, so we can't.
So the ownership of that is up in the air.
No, we own it.
No, we don't.
We own it, yeah.
We just,
But we can't sell it, because it was funded by federal grant money.
So let's,
Until it's,
But it could be moved down the other end, and your end up there for offices, space and everything, that could be finalized. I mean, you got a ways to go for offices.
what's in that little building where they, two double doors? What's in there? On the end.
Oh, where the shooting thing was?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know if you could get anything in there, I don't know, that's the only problem. Those walls are 6 foot, wow,
Yeah,
almost
6 foot,
7
3/4
foot.
inches.
Well, anyway, the gist of my thought, thinking is that it's a tremendous potential. And it's been basically sitting there for 3 years, 4 more.
the vault was basically almost a year project. And get the right people in there, and then they just couldn't do the job. And
Then we lost our contractor.
You really
You
won't,
can wait for us.
it really, as far as getting the rest of the stuff, Dave, it really won't be
It's
too
just like
terribly.
floors and a couple walls.
Yeah, some floors, some walls, cause that's, I mean, really it. We also kinda hit a snag, and I can't, again, go into too much detail, there was discussion about the police stuff too, and it was like, where does that go to? So it's like, do we make that, so we kinda halted on that, cause that was an opportunity there that might be a space for that. So really, as far as, it's a lot of, like Billy Joe said, it's flooring, it's some doors, the bathrooms are all done, the vault's all done, it's all through,
You're
electrical.
anxious to get in there too, trust me.
Yeah,
It's I apologize, but here's a thought that I've had too, and I know we talked about the police department maybe being down back there. There's that piece of land, I take it goes all the way to the parking lot, parking road. Right? I mean,
Yes,
obviously.
Actually, the
on the
parking
west
lot
side.
is
To the
ours.
fence.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, if there's ever a need for a police department building, it seems like that would be a tremendous spot. Take that shed down, clean that whole area out, put a separate building. I mean, it's just a far-fetched, but it's a thought. One more question. About a year ago, I asked about ARPA funds and investment.
And I put them in,
Thank you.
I just wanted to add a comment, Dave, to it, make you feel a little better, and does that, myself anyways, on the policing. Not on this contract or what we're trying to build here, but, I'm finding the state police are really stepping up around here. And we're having, in my neighborhood, there's some bad eggs over there, and, I've seen a cop Friday night, the vehicle left there, and I said, which way is he gonna go? Berkshire, Enosburgh. Went Berkshire, as soon as he went by a dairy center, lights came on. So they're watching these people from a distance. And then last night, 2 more are pulled over. There's 2 state police, and that's like, we never got coverage like that before.
Yeah.
So this, for some reason,
Yeah, I see more.
they're more around, and it's a good thing right now.
it is.
Yeah, right.
They've been very responsive. They talked to both Jesse and I
For sure,
fairly regularly.
that's good.
They wanted to ensure us that they had your course.
Yeah. Okay, I'll sit down and be quiet, but just one more thing, and I should back up just a bit, the skating rink. Jesse, we talked about boards around the perimeter.
yeah.
I talked with Margot about that, and she said she's gonna be submitting her budget, I guess, to you folks, and I've asked her if I give her some dollar figures for
You
the
talking
boards
about
around the rink.
when we talked about those brackets,
Yeah.
the idea?
Yeah, just not to be confused with real boards, right?
Right.
Just so that you know.
One of the challenges you run into is the way, Phil, is when people skate, they come up and they go to the edge of where the boards are, and the skate nicks the plastic.
Yep.
Well, when you have that thaw out, if they nick it too low,
Yep.
the water all drains off. It's fine if it's frozen. So Dave and I were talking about if you made almost like a upside down L bracket that slid on the actual frame. So one, you can cleat your plastic in on the top, so it's kind of, it's shaped short, over the top, and then a long piece on the ice side. You can cleat it all on the top, and then your plastic holds in, and at the same time, you're protecting your sides from the tip of your skates. Because that's what's happened is, if it warms up, as soon as it all drains off where those holes are,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Even this early in the season, it's all necked up.
Yeah.
But, and they wouldn't, I'm looking at maybe, I don't know, 500, 600, something like
Yeah, but a good roll of duct tape would work, fix all that.
that. I know.
You gotta be able to get down
That's
there.
not water, it's cold, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will interest the chair to our chairperson, Mr. Dean Wright.
It's late. Sorry. We still under public comment? Yeah.
Yep.
Any more public comment? Seeing none. Susie?
Yep, you
You're
should've
on.
gotten that, elevator stuff to look at. So to make a decision on
Did we?
option
I
one,
didn't get the elevator stuff.
emailed it, pretty sure.
Maybe it went over junk or something. As I checked that night when you said you were doing it, and I looked down at the CD and what page you were.
It is, what we're looking at is option 2, which includes option 1. Option 2 is $1,400 a month, year, sorry. It includes the oil and grease service, examining floor alignments, emergency phone alarm and lights, sweep the elevator pit machine for light dust and debris, adjust minor components as needed, an annual Cat 1 testing, and then it also includes emergency light phone battery per agreement, repair of small components up to 500, labor and materials per total agreement. I think that's off at that point, but I think it's it. And then no worker materials except those specified above. No Cat 5 testing and no hydraulic fluid and specialty oils. Otherwise, their standard listing for repairs and service is a standard hourly rate at $275. Weekend and holiday overtime, $375. Two-person standard rate, $375. Two-person on the weekend holiday, $675. Construction, I don't think we need to worry about that. Annual Cat 1 test outside of agreement is 1 to 3 hours. So I presume they send 2 people for the Cat 1. Let's say 3 hours times 375, 9,000, 50,000, 1225. And then so that's just on the Cat 1 test. And if you go with the option 2 at $1,400, that includes that along with the other stuff. So my recommendation is it's Alpha Elevator. It's a different elevator company.
EL or AL?
ALPHA. Is to go with that. The list on the inspection included the preventative maintenance and the Cat 1 to 3 hours, the Cat test, so that's needed. The tech will troubleshoot the fire visual in-off or fire recall issue, which apparently was something that was noted. There's a light bulb, we can do that, and the direction arrow lens, I found the lens cover when I was cleaning up the janitor's closet for the night. It gets bumped by it has an up and down arrow on the inside of the doors that lights up, and when you're moving the chair racks, they weren't thinking about it when they either built the elevator or got the chair racks. They're not swiveling on both sides, so you swivel one end in, and then you gotta kind of move it over. Hopefully it's not fully loaded with chairs, because you can't do that. And then your door is in here and your door is out there, so then you gotta swivel it around this, and it's always bumping something. We need a couple more swivels on all those things. We need somebody to do welding. You gotta come off and weld them. And actually, you talked about shortening the rack by 1 chair section. It would make it hold less, but it would also be much more maneuverable. So those are things that we talk about anyways. So that was the main thing to request under the under your agenda for tonight.
Okay.
And then I had 2 other comments that don't need anything, but.
What was the company we were using?
You used to use Schindler, but we never entered, well, we probably had a contract way back when, but we have not been under a contract with an elevator company for some time. And found them, as I tasked Kim to go out and look at the different elevator things to resolve these issues that came up in inspection. I don't think they even got back to her. Very unresponsive, and then while we were talking about it at one point, because I think I was probably complaining about how expensive all of them were, Jim Cameron mentioned Alpha, because that's what they're using on the Quincy, and he thought they were more reasonably priced than other elevator companies that he's been dealing with. And then somebody else, the fire inspector guy, or the elevator inspector guy mentioned Now, the inspection service is a separate service that comes in, they came in, I think it was July, they come in and inspect it. And then they make recommendations of anything that's not working, but your elevator service is a whole separate entity. And so that's what we're looking right now, is that service end.
This one's on. The other
Yeah.
one was.
Wasn't, okay. Where are they out of, Susie, do you know?
Is that the Montpelier one?
Tanya, Alpha Elevator, I almost think it is Montpelier. I'm not 100% sure.
Is that a yearly contract or is
That's
that?
a yearly contract, it can be paid by, break it into 2 payments of $700, or it's $1,400 for the annual payment. But we're looking to resolve that inspection that was done this summer.
When you say yearly though, is it year to year or is it a 5-year contract? And that's how much it is a year?
They didn't say anything about a 5-year contract, year to year.
Year to year.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah, it's gotta be done.
That would cover these, that,
The CAT test, the main test.
right, and,
Clean, and I think, I'm excited to see they go in and clean the pit, because we had water issues in there, put a sump pump in. It'd be nice to have that elevator lifted up, they can get down, they can test the sump pump, make sure it's still working. That's a big source of, moisture and smell if it's not working.
Yeah, but the thing is that, I mean, all you gotta do is just plug it in. You should be able to hear it.
Should be plugged in all the time.
Right.
Wow, that pail should be underneath the pipe.
It is,
Okay.
but I don't see anything in it, so I don't know if it's working or if it's just dry.
There's no water in it. It's
You
not
know,
working.
somebody should look to see if it's any water in it, or if there's water in it, then it's not working.
But they'll inspect that when they do.
They'll inspect it and they'll clean it, and, yeah. It's a good way, they go and see if there's hydraulic fluid or anything that indicates something else going on.
Right.
Yeah.
will this cover, like, so that inspection you had this summer, will these guys cover that, or do you still have to do that?
That inspector is a separate entity.
That's the
that comes
Vermont
in.
Elevator Company, and they're
Okay.
the like, they're making sure that what the other people are doing is good.
Okay.
I think they have to do all municipal buildings and whatnot.
I think they do any building.
Any building, yeah.
Do we need a motion for that? I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
And then my
So, yeah, the whole request is, the motion is for Alpha Company,
Yeah.
1,400.
Yeah.
Well, we meeting next week?
What?
We meeting next week? Well, because we'll probably
Yeah,
get
there's
the
lots of
contract
good-
sent.
I could try to get it to you for signature for next week, is that what you mean?
Yes, if you could. I mean, we still have a motion, but we need,
But, I mean,
just to review it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get it on that.
Let's do the motion.
So we got a motion on the floor for going with the Alpha elevator for the option 2 on the, for $1,400 annually. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That passed, that's good. So, yeah, if you get that to us, we can get it signed.
Yeah.
And
And then,
make sure everything's good.
I thank Billy Joe for the utility bills. Were you able to get the heat bills?
Yes, I have.
Okay, great, so I'll stop by and get those. Again, it would be most efficient if we could just request them ourselves directly from the source, so I just throw that out there again. I know you're in budget talks, so you're building your budget, and I started looking at this, I started kind of thinking about it. I think for the last 20 years, except for a couple of years, Larry, you bumped us up to like 30,000 for a couple of years. We've been at 20 or 25,000 for our general fund line item. And for grins and giggles, I looked at the inflation rate and what that actually is now in 2025. It equates to about 12,000 for value. So that line hasn't moved really with inflation for 20 years. And certainly I know insurance took a huge bump. I think utilities and whatnot are always what they are, and they've gone up a little bit, but then we saved money by going to gas. So I think we've done a lot of things to save, so it might not show, but that still those things are going up, and the line doesn't move, so just keeping that in mind, that maybe something to be aware of when you're talking the budget, that we've stayed very prudent for a long time, but we're probably at the point where we're over for now for a couple of years by a little bit because simply inflation. So throwing that in there is something to think about.
So like the insurance you talked about, Susie, is that what you guys have to have for the Friends of the Opera House?
No,
'cause we
the
had-
insurance that you guys are paying, we pay an insurance, we pay insurance for the employee, the liability insurance, we have insurance for our officers, and then we have some sort of insurance on, that covers the property too, I don't know what it is, cause I know that you guys have insurance that covers property, but, yeah, I was talking just about the expenses that are reflected in that line,
Okay.
or keep going up, but the allocation hasn't for some time, so just to think about that, you're probably gonna think about it with all your lines.
Yeah, I think we're at 30, and then when COVID hit, everything shut down, so I think we brought it down 25 and revisited it.
Yeah. And then the other thing is we're having a facilities meeting tomorrow where we go over everything that we think needs to be worked on in facilities, what can the Opera House handle, what are the big ticket items, and we send them over to our group that talks about development and grant writing so that they know what to be looking for. Most of that grant work generally, to be honest, ends up being around the building or the windows, or we have done for sound and that type of thing. There's not a lot of grants per se for helping with our personnel costs or our programming, so that's what we're trying to do in the building, and as we're thinking about that, we've got that grant, municipal grant, and you guys got 400,000 on that grant, but I don't know what you're really looking at. We kinda need to know what you're looking at out of that punch list of items. Cause we have some thoughts, maybe when we look at it and discuss it tomorrow, that if that money that you've already got and whatever is allocated to the Opera House be pointed in one direction, because maybe the other direction is something that we think we can find a grant for, like, I'd love to see those doors done, but I think we might be able to find help with that easier than we find, say, insulating the building. And if you've got the money, maybe the focus ought to be on the insulating of the building. I'm just throwing that out there, we haven't had a discussion, we're doing it tomorrow, but, so it would be helpful to know what exactly you're contemplating around that, so that we can be looking heavier in the areas that you're not looking, or maybe even add in our 2 cents that we think there's some money available for XYZ, but there's not for ABC, can you focus your direction in ABC, type thing. So I think that would be really helpful to have more of an idea of where you're going with that money.
We're gonna have a discussion tonight about it. I just had a conversation with Marlena today. The water has just settled on that whole thing. Like today I had to do a designation for the Opera House, so, because it is historical, so any building that's over 50 years old has to have a designation, because you can't obviously, like we talked about last time, just start punching holes in the wall.
Right,
So
right.
that just got filed today. They just sent me the paperwork on that, so I have to do that. So again, we have a webinar next week on that with NRPC about what we can and can't do in historical. So the ball's moving, it's just trying to figure out what we know in here, obviously, like we said, we can do whatever we want in here. It's just the historical, even like the armory, because the armory was built in 1957, I have to do a designation because it's over 50 years old.
What do you mean, we're already designated on the historic marker?
Because of the grant. I have to do it's extra paperwork because of the grant, because it is a historical site.
Okay.
So I had to fill out paperwork today saying that, you know, we're not gonna disturb the ground, or we're not gonna do this, or, you know, what's your timeline, what are you know. So they take that paperwork with what, you know, it's all HVAC stuff, all that, and then they look at that, and the state goes through that, and then next week we have a webinar explaining more of what we can and can't do and how we can process that stuff. So we're just in the process of figuring out what that is for, because it covers HVAC with mini splits, it covers building envelopes, and it covers ADA accessibility.
Yeah.
So that's what those 3 areas are. So once we figure out and the dust settles and figure out what you can do, then those guys will know, so.
And like we had mentioned the last meeting, it might be, if it's ADA, it might be a good chance to get your side exit.
Oh,
Or
for
Mrs.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Ryan's done, because that's probably fairly expensive to
Yeah.
do something so it's handicapped.
Yeah, that, and, yeah. So would there be a possibility for me or somebody else to listen in on the webinar because that would help us on other grants, just knowing what we can or can't do.
I don't know specifically, it's through the whatever MERP stands for, municipal, I can't remember, energy resilience program, yeah, whatever it is, so it's specific to that with the NRPC, so it's an hour-long webinar, and it's just telling us what, typically those are the materials available after, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have made no decisions where you're going with that?
They haven't, no, I was gonna talk to them tonight, cause I just had a conversation with Marlena today, because there's things in this building that need to be changed, and it's whether or not that would apply. They need 2 new boilers in here, and it's like, can we apply that grant money to that, because they're 30 years old and they're on their last legs, so trying to see if that can be added in there. And it was a very broad, okay, it's all HVAC and it's all accessibility and it's all this. It wasn't specific, but now they were like, apply for it, specific, wide kind of broad stroke, and then come back to us with those things that, and we'll see if we can get them covered, basically. So.
Can you narrow down what you wrote? I mean, I got the paper that Joe gave me, and like you said, that's pretty broad. Is there areas that you're thinking, yeah, we're not going to do? Or we'd like to, has any decisions been made of any sort, any discussion?
No, but I think we were definitely thinking of trying to get a heat pump system
The mini
in there.
splits in there.
If you're gonna have air conditioning and
Yeah.
extra heat in
Yeah.
the system like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, mini splits, and then like Billy Joe said, the side ADA accessibility, that there, basically any of that stuff I know is approved, because Marlene said it today. So if it's in the scope of work and it's ADA, check, it's good. If it's in the scope
Yeah.
of those, check, it's good.
As far as
Oh,
not being restricted.
not being restricted.
Right, but
Yours is just more of a hump because of the historical nature of it, and I just
the
need to
mini
know.
splits definitely, I'd be curious to see how they can incorporate that in there, in that historic building, but, so in this discussion, I think like, we constantly are coming across grants that have around ADA stuff. So I think like what I'm trying to say is there's generally on any given day, you can pretty much go out and find something around ADA in a grant that you can apply for. Getting something to, HVAC, I don't know if I see that much stuff and it's definitely in need, but are we putting the cart before the horse if the building's not still insulated? And we're pumping the energy into the heating and the cooling of an uninsulated building. I mean, it's been an uphill climb with what we have now. People come in and they say this isn't adequate for the size of the building, but then you throw in that it's not insulated. I mean, I guess I'd really be curious
I think
on,
Pierre could answer the question of, because of the thickness of the walls, it'd be more expensive to insulate that building.
I mean, where would you start with the insulation? Because as we've all seen that video. Of the walls.
It'd
We could walk
be
through
great
this
if we
way,
could do
picture
a
it.
stub wall in front of it and then insulate that, but that'd be the integrity of the,
well, that was
Historic.
part of National Storage.
you can
Yeah.
make it look historical, but I think that'd be the cheapest way to go, but it's not allowed.
We got the school to do one kitty corner wall, I think I've told you guys before, where the stairs go up to the stage. That wall had a lot of plaster deterioration, there was a hole in it. So at one point, the Cold Hollow came in and they ripped right down to the lath. And they redid that wall, and when they did it, they insulated behind that wall. So I got one, so I mean, if we could even designate, we're gonna go up to this high or something even, and then, I don't know, it would be a huge expense. That's why I'm thinking like if this grant, if our portion of it, I don't know. I think the ADA, right off the cuff, I would say, if we've got this money, focusing on something other than ADA, because I think we can get ADA money elsewhere.
But they had
Yeah.
added it at 0 hour. They had added it, it wasn't originally in the scope of the grant.
Yeah.
It was just the HVAC and,
Yeah.
you know, showing efficiencies.
Yeah.
And then at the last minute, Marlena was like, add a 20% contingency on everything for ADA requirements. So it was kind of like, okay, so here's the total, add this and throw 20%
So they're
on.
looking, you're thinking that maybe after this is all done, that 400,000 will be a different number?
No, the number
Oh,
is,
the
no,
number.
when I applied for the grant, the
Oh, okay.
426, we're awarded that, that's what it is. But when we were doing it originally,
Yeah.
they had said now there's an ADA, you know, portion of this that you can apply for.
Okay.
Go and apply for 20% of that total, so.
Okay.
But, you know, I was thinking about it today and it's like 426,000, it's a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but you start,
No, yeah.
there's $27,000 worth of furnace behind us, and there's, you know, 2 furnaces back there, and you start throwing money around, and it's gonna eat 500,000 in a hurry.
Yep.
Have you ever had an estimate for installation at the Opera House?
We haven't had an estimate for installation, but we've had a number of exploratories, and this guy was really, he just was really glossed over his look. It was a very in-depth, but we've had a number of efficiency people come in. We've had a couple Cinderboat grants where they come in, and they're all recommending pretty much the same list. Increase the insulation
But no
above,
financial
insulate the
estimates.
walls. No, that's what we keep trying to get with the planning, the master planning grant, is to
Yeah.
go in and come up with those estimates for everything and start a master plan. Maybe we start another capital campaign or something, I don't know, but, you know, something that can give us the numbers and the priorities in a building like that. So, anyway, so I'd be interested, maybe I follow up with you tomorrow, the next day, see how your conversation goes tonight.
Yeah, like I said, on the historic side, I won't know more until next week.
Yeah, yeah.
After that thing with Sean Coleman, so.
And it's house, I think a lot of it's under housing, everybody under HUD too, there's all sorts of.
This was, from my understanding, was ARPA money that the state had, that they had they needed to get rid of it.
No, I mean
They-
requirements, HUD has.
Oh, sorry, I
HUD
thought you
and
were talking about
National
where the money came from.
Registry, and then you have the state, and don't forget, we're already under a 15-year easement on the outside envelope, which includes the grounds. I mean, they inspect, they just came inspected this summer, took pictures, gave us a thumbs up, to make sure we hadn't done anything. So, we have that. All right, I think that's it. Any questions? We've got Tender Bellies coming up on the if the 24th is a Saturday or a Friday, that's the day. And then we have, the V Burlesque Show in February, and Pride in March. Fleeing Antique Farmers Market thing has been scrapped or postponed for now because our 2 cornerstone antique dealers don't want to deal with it.
Did you have it this last Sunday?
We didn't,
Okay.
the 2 that always come, that are, you know, Evan and Chris, kinda said, no, we don't.
But was it posted or anything that it was canceled, or? Cause I
On
thought
the website, I think.
it was, okay,
Yeah,
so I
but-
checked Facebook,
But the messenger picks up on things that you did before, and they don't call and say, we're gonna throw this in there, and then I'm like, it's in the messenger, like, well, we didn't put it in the messenger, and messenger did it themselves.
So the next one, it's canceled for a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
tell further notice, yeah. Yeah, and then everybody else is picking up on the same thing, so now Montgomery's got a farmer's market, and somebody else is getting a farmer's market. It's a good idea,
Saturates it a
so
little bit, yeah.
everybody's got it now.
After you guys' meetings, it'd be nice to let us
Yeah.
know or whatever, what your list of.
I'll try to put it in some sort of readable form. We've got this big long document, it's a wish list broken into categories, and then we've got codes on essential, non-essential. We think there's grant money, we think this might be like a municipal issue, this might be a store. So I'll try to put it into some sort of narrative that gives you an idea of everything we've been looking at. I mean, it goes everything from actual building safety and whatnot to, you know, we need some side curtains on the stage, those old legs that you use, those wooden things that get stuck between a thing and they try to stand up are, I bet, 50 years old, with about 50 years worth of paint on them. So they get pretty heavy, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a good idea, if they had a hit list of some
Yep.
HVAC and
Yep.
even the ADA, I don't know, I don't know if they wanna see some of that ADA because we did add that 20% back into the end. Even if we, if it's a side entrance, you kinda kill two birds with one stone. You tighten up the doorway and you make it somehow, better accessible or something.
Yeah,
So,
Keep in mind that door unit, a few years ago, the estimate was like $7,000 to rebuild those doors, cause they basically need to be taken apart and rebuilt. And then I think Chris does things as well with the elevator shaft that's been put in there, that's not, natural to the building, has over time, that corner's kinda settled a little bit. So when Ben Weed was doing the windows, he had to tweak them to get them in, a stained glass window, imagine tweaking the stained glass window to get in those doors. It's just not, something's off and and I don't think there's anything to do about a cement elevator shaft that's kind of settled a little bit. I mean, it only goes so far, right? I hope. I don't know, but I think we need to look at it as a whole for sure. This will help with the elevator, but I know when the American Sprinkler guy came last year, he took a quick look and said, you need to start thinking ahead on the sprinkler system, that this needs to be revamped at some point. And he was given some figures, so we were okay, but he said, just giving you a heads up, you need to start planning down the future. Some of these systems now are easily 25 years old, which doesn't seem like very old, but apparently they're.
So there's a sprinkler system in there.
We have a sprinkler system in there, yeah. It's a dry system. Any questions, let me know, and I'll try to get, try to come back next week with that for signature, and maybe I can bring you a narrative on our facilities meeting.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. All right, Garrett, you are next on the agenda.
A little bit of a packet tonight.
Really?
yeah,
All the notes are on there.
Stuff we don't know supposed to see.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
If I catch it outside.
Let's make one extra.
thank you.
Alrighty. So tonight, just a little bit of a review from 2024. In the past couple of weeks, I've been going over the data with some help from the employees, which has been a huge help for me. But just to give you guys a little insight as to how the service did, what our call volume was, kind of the expectations for the upcoming year, and where we're at, and then also going over the Franklin contract and some updates throughout the station. So, the first page you guys see, this is a review as to how the service did for the year. Starting from the top, it's total salary expense, insurance revenue, where we netted at the end of the year, and then the call data that occurred throughout the year. The call data we're still reviewing because some of it isn't lining up with one another. There are a few call run numbers off. That's just the credit system that we use. But for the most part, it is accurate to the best that we can do until I get a more official result from it in the next week. So salary expense, we ended at $630,576. Insurance revenue, we ended higher than expected, which was great. We ended at $633,568. For budgeting purposes, we ended in the positive, which was great, at $2,991.45. The call volume was actually a lot higher than I expected this year. We were expecting in the 1,300 call range, and we ended at 1,411. So a lot higher than we were anticipating. With that volume,
Does that include
Like I
when you
said,
take a transport?
Yep, so that first number that you see on the top, that 1,411, that is total number of calls we were dispatched, whether it was a transfer, 911 call, public assist, whatever it may be, standby. That is in total what we did this year, what we were dispatched to. 911, so 1,290 of those calls were 911 calls that we took. Of that 1,290, we transported 808. Comparing to previous years, those were kind of the big things. I'm still going through, it's difficult to get the 2022 data, we're still working on that. But that transport number for 911 is up almost 150 from the 2023, which is big. The intercepts we did as well this year. We did 28 intercepts, paramedic intercepts for outside services. Statistically, we've been less than 10. So that was a big jump for us as well. Total calls sent to mutual aid, we've got some discrepancy on this. What I found thus far is we've sent 41 calls to mutual aid for 2020. That's still variable because the other data I'm looking at is showing that we sent 26 calls to mutual aid, so
Oh, so
somewhere
it's,
between 26 and 41. Yeah.
it's a small number.
Right, exactly. Of that, the very bottom number, 65, that you see, that is the number of times we responded to help out our mutual aid partners, so Sheldon, Richford, wherever. Big kudos to Richford. That was actually something that we did find clarifying in the data was that our number of calls that we have been going in to help Richford out has actually gone down. So kudos to Richford on filling their own calls. They've been a big help to us, but the same part, they're taking care of their own as well. So our numbers into Richford actually went down. And then number of transfers, so those are those interfacility transports that we do. That volume has gone up as well by about 20 calls. So last year we did 110 transfers, interfacility transports, which is a revenue generator as well. So I'll have a little bit more official data once I finalize the 2023 and 2022 totals, but everything is showing a trend upwards. And then for our towns, we did have a jump in a couple of them. Berkshire is one that statistically we were doing around 100 to 110 calls. In Berkshire this year we were up around the 190 range, so that was a big jump. And then also Montgomery. Montgomery was the other one that went up quite a bit as well, and Enosburgh. So the volume's going up, that's for sure. 911 has definitely been busy, so having the Unit 2 available has been a huge thing, and being able to field all these calls.
And sometimes Unit 3, like
Unit
last
3 has been
week.
going out quite a lot lately.
It has, no?
One day last week, it was one.
It's already due for an oil change.
Really?
I said, I don't think we have any people left at the building.
Yeah,
Are you finding
We
room
did.
to run them all?
we are.
You are? Perfect. That's great.
All 3 ambulances on the road.
No kidding? Wow. That's good.
So this next sheet will show you guys the number of calls that each unit actually did. One thing that did stand out to me was the amount of times that the press line went out. So that is something that's actually helpful to know because I'm actually looking to put more mileage on the 17 right now. So that's going to be a little bit of adjustment is using the 17 more or less the primary unit because that's the truck that's going to be refurbished here at some point. And then the new van we just bought, that was out on 17 calls since we've owned it. Quite a few of those were actually long distance transports outside of Vermont.
That's all you want.
Yep.
New York, Maine.
New York, Maine,
Good money.
Massachusetts.
No kidding.
Okay.
It's working good for that.
Love it.
Get good gas mileage, it
Yeah.
goes good down the road.
Mileage wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. More or less the kind of the convenience of it in the cities. Running a big box truck through the
Right.
cities. Mileage is definitely better than what the 17 does. That's
What does it get from that?
18.
18.
Yeah, on a gas motor. Whereas the 17 is 8 miles to the gallon.
And diesel.
We'll take, yeah, exactly, diesel expense as well. So yeah, that's something that I am going to adjust for next year is the amount of times we use the 17 because I'd like to put more mileage on that truck than the 22. Save the mileage on it. Before I jump into this, any questions with that data or anything? So when I do the annual letter to the towns, it's something I'm going to incorporate in there as well. Just to show kind of our volume and how it's increasing. As for the budget, this is by no means finalized. This is just my rough look into what we actually did in 2024 versus what I budgeted and what I projected mid-year. On the revenue side, originally we budgeted for $604,478. Our actual amount received by insurances was $633,568. So a little under 30 grand than what we expected to receive. So we did well in that category. The towns, that is unchanged. Family subscriptions, that $33,145 is combined business and family. The intercepts was the big one. I budgeted to an expectation of receiving $2,000 in intercept revenue, and we actually received $10,400.
Wow.
So they're definitely using this quite a bit for our paramedic availability here, which has been a big thing. On the flip side, the expenses, the salaries was the big thing that was greater than I expected. Part of that being I wasn't budgeting for a Unit 2 to be on the weekends, so that definitely added to the expense for what I budgeted for the weekends. So in total, that allotment was about $70,000 more than I expected for salaries. And then the bond. So total expense, that's not finalized because I still gotta meet with P.E.G and go over all the remaining expenses for the year, just to make sure our numbers are comparable. But the big thing is, we were anticipating roughly 1,300 calls. That was our expectation. We ended at 1,411, which is a big thing. Any questions with that? We're gonna do a more thorough look at the budget for next year.
The actual is the next to the last.
Yep.
And so you had projected on the first line?
So the projected is when we did the mid-year review. I updated this to see where are we headed, where are we trending for the final actual of 2024. And then the one to the left of the actual 2024 is what we budgeted for.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on
Yep.
the projected expense.
Yep.
Was over $100,000 more than what the actual expense was.
Are you talking
The
about
actual
projected? Yep.
expense
It's because we
is
haven't,
$794 and the projected was $952.
we
but I
just
don't-
haven't finished filling in the blanks.
Correct. Yeah.
Ah, oh,
Right,
gotcha.
exactly. That's where I gotta meet with BJ and just make sure our numbers are
Gotcha, yep.
on the same page with this. So on the projected side, that's actually gonna be less than 952. That was just what I was projecting based on where we were at that point at the mid-year review.
But you don't have like a rough estimate of how much less?
Not yet, I
Not
don't wanna
yet.
say yet because
Okay.
I really don't know.
Okay.
Somewhere around where we budgeted that,
Okay.
you know.
Oh,
It's not astronomical. Hopefully it'll be,
There's not a lot more revenue, the revenue side's pretty low.
yes, aside from the donations and memorials.
I think we got one more report in today that may.
Did it come in? I'll try to forward it to you because I didn't see it yet. From Comstar?
From Comstar, there was
I was waiting
an
for it.
email, so I'm assuming it's the final. I didn't open it yet either.
I'll forward it again. Because I didn't see it. That's what I was waiting for today. It didn't come through. Usually it comes on Wednesdays. But yeah, so I'll do kind of a more thorough discussion with you guys on this once I get those final numbers for everything here, but just to give you kind of a quick look as to how things are looking right now.
Yep.
So budgeting, or for our town, so Franklin agreed to a 5-year contract with us. I sent them the contract for you guys, they have signed it, and now it's for you guys to review and then sign, and then I will send it back to them. This contract will take effect July 1st of this year, and it will go until 2030, ending on June 30th, 2030.
For some reason, that number sounds like something out of the Jetsons.
that's
I know.
quite a ways.
We're already
I think
past the
we're talking
Jetsons.
2030.
Weren't they like 2000 something?
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was like 21 or something.
So Franklin agreed to the 5-year contract, and then Berkshire as well agreed to the 5-year contract.
Yes.
To show you guys what that looks like, I made this spreadsheet, just to show what each of our towns looks like, for the next 5 years from now. And where we sit. So the next contract coming up will be Bakersfield in 2027. For the next couple of years.
You go to Tangle Enosburgh, you can see there's some blanks there.
What's up here?
You check prices from Richford?
Start negotiating.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very grateful and very thankful for us.
Nice.
That's what you'd say.
It's nice to have them locked in for 5 years.
Yeah, for sure. Nice to know that they do it that easy. It used to be a struggle.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
So this is the 5-year contract in front of you, for you guys to review. And then if you have any questions, comments, or anything, so essentially it's,
This one goes to July, are they the
The town that is on fiscal year and not.
June to July,
correct,
or
yeah,
July to June, whatever it was?
yeah.
So that's just Dean's signature this week?
I think so.
Okay.
I think we left it pretty much the same. The only thing that changed were the dollar amounts
Yep.
and the years.
Yep, exactly.
So that, is that their chair? Signed,
Yes.
David?
David?
Is it
Last
Ben,
name?
Benyon?
Ben?
Is it on them? I've been going out when I was there last time, it was last year. I don't see anything offhand.
Hey, just out of curiosity, go to the third page, line 9. This agreement can be amended by mutual written consent of the parties.
Where are you, dear?
Third page.
Oh, third
Third page, number 9.
Okay.
Should be a time frame in something like that?
That's typical language.
Okay,
I mean, it's
so this is
saying,
just bold,
but if they put it there, but they say by mutual consent of both. So if you want an amendment, if the other one's not consenting, it's not gonna happen.
okay.
Is there a date that they're gonna want to review by again? By the end of 5 years?
It
That's,
says at least 30 days prior.
it's on number 1, I think.
I thought it was on the second page, number 5.
What's our time frame?
That's for cancellation.
It says, and 10, it says at least 30 days prior to June 30th, 2030, Enosburgh Ambulance Service will provide the town with a budget and cap and
Oh, there you
option
go.
agreement for similar ambulance service for the next service period.
I'm
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, but they may actually want December,
Which I think they
30.
reached out this
They
time.
did,
Lisa, I think, emailed me and then I emailed you
in
and said, hey.
November,
Yeah,
and then I met with them in December.
because even though they're on a fiscal year, they're still doing their budget just like well.
yeah, just like, yeah. Just like we've done. I make a motion to accept. Let's service agreement with Franklin.
Alright, so it's been moved and seconded to accept the ambulance contract with the town of Franklin, which is a 5-year contract. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. Any opposed, nay? Alright. And the contract.
Berkshire within here?
They have to sign it first.
Oh.
I'll bring that to you guys.
They,
That's just a note
did
that they,
verbally tell and emailed in.
I didn't date it or anything.
no, that's fine. Yep, once I get the contract back from Berkshire, then I'll bring it to you guys.
Yeah, we should have your business here. Berkshire's starting July 1st also.
No, Berkshire is same as us. They start in March. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely. That's what I said. Yeah, right. No, that's, yeah.
So next thing is for personnel. This is the full-timers, to review their remaining PTO hours and pay out for the remaining PTO hours. I've got each one here individually as to what they have for remaining, time off hours. I went back through just to reinsure that their hours are correct and that they have everything that's correct. They've had time to review theirs and they agree with what they've seen for their PTO hours. So, no,
Do they not have time to take these hours as vacation time?
it's my stress to them. Yeah, which I get their side, it's kind of difficult because they work 48-hour shifts, so, well, 2 24-hour shifts, so that leaves you 2 days work each week. They need to use it, and they said they will. They were better this year than they were last year. Any questions?
So are these all full timers?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we're trying to stay away from is having to take on PTO at the end of the year, so hopefully we can. Yeah, there's not a super lot of hours, there's different ones, hopefully good. So I don't wanna give a false impression that it's okay, and just,
Do we have like a use or lose type program?
With sick,
Oh, with sick time. I didn't know with like this too, you know, I just asking, I wasn't sure if they did for
maybe
PTO.
next year, halfway through the year, you can remind them that they're still here. And say, we'd like to see you use this many in 1 quarter and then have the rest. This is a reminder.
Or do a minimum payout,
Yeah,
Yeah.
10-hour minimum payout, or something like that.
that
Would
would
you have a minute?
definitely be good.
Yep. Yep, you can do that.
I mean, it doesn't have to be 10 hours, but just an example.
yeah.
without.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed or something, yeah.
It'd be good to stress like mental health and, you know, like
Mm,
just
right.
taking that time.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
it is such
Yeah.
a stressful and, you know, a lot.
Oh, yeah,
to it.
totally agree, definitely.
And, with your staffing, so you got, it's probably, seems like it's better all the time, so you probably have coverage if they were to allow.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause you probably didn't have all these guys on full-time for the whole year, you kind of gained a couple.
Correct.
Jameson.
Right, Jameson was a new one filling in a previously existing position. I believe he's the one.
Does that need a motion, or are you just gonna sign off?
Probably should have
We-
mentioned because
yeah.
of the comments.
I'll make a motion to, approve the PTO pay request forms for the employees that Eric supplied.
I mean, you still wouldn't get paid either way, whether they take them or get paid out. Seems like on the budget it'd be easier for it if it was just paid on a weekly.
Stand out
Like a
instead
few
of
days at a time at least.
everything all
As
at once.
long as, yeah, as long as it's not running into overtime.
Right, for other people.
So Jessica's made a motion to pay out the PTO
I'll second it.
hours for the ambulance crew. You're seconding it, is there any discussion?
No, I would just suggest that we sit down and give them a limit, so you know what's, what, they can try to manage it.
We don't require a change in the personnel policy.
It does, if you can come up with something like that's agreeable with the board, like to put a cap on this,
Yep.
this is how much we're going to limit it.
Because if we don't, these numbers could double next year,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, people could save their time to get that chunk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
that's just,
we appreciate everything they do,
oh,
Definitely,
We want them to
Like
use
the-
education.
yeah.
Totally agree.
Give it to them for a reason.
but I know,
Jessica said it's a very stressful
well,
job.
that's
It needs to be-
it, I know it's the same with my guys too, that are working hard and then they're trying to save for the end of the year, but then also it affects their work after a while, when they're just stressed out too much.
Right.
Sure. This is no different.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them about it when we do our leadership meeting this week too.
Good. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of paying out the PTO requests for the ambulance crew, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? I'm gonna sign these for now.
Yeah, you can. I'm gonna jump to two things before we get into personnel. So Burlington Communications, just an update, they came here last week and they replaced the link system to our radio system with hopes that that's gonna fix our communication and transmit it out to Central. They gave us a whole brand new unit with hopes that resolves the issue. We haven't had any issues since they've done so. Any better for you guys? Nothing for you
It
guys.
doesn't change the truck to truck thing.
Did you see that I sent you the bill over to them?
Yes, yeah. There's a lot more than I was expecting.
I don't hear, not that it matters, but I used to hear it on the scanner.
Mhm.
I don't hear municipal tone anymore, which is strange.
Yeah. Our communications with our rigs, we haven't really had an issue with. Since they've done the change, it seems like it's better for us, but on the fire side or the town
Yeah, not so
side,
much with the fire trucks, but on the highway, it's
still
terrible.
consistent.
Ridiculous, actually, ridiculous. I'm gonna call somebody within the next couple days, or Radio North or somebody different. Have them come up and say, what are we gonna do?
So
What-
is
what do
it
we need to do?
here on the building from the, or in your
It's the
vehicles?
trucks, I guess, it's the truck radios, it's
But
truck
why
to
did
truck.
they all stop working?
What?
Why did all of your vehicles stop working? That's why I asked,
They,
was
they
this?
work, they just don't work very well. And we got them all through the Homeland Security Grant, so they're 45-watt radios, because they wouldn't let us get 100 watts because we're too close to Canada, to spill over onto Canada. So that's probably part of the problem. I think most of your radios and the ones in the fire truck here are mostly 100-watt radios. So putting out more than twice the power. Yeah, it's just, it's totally ridiculous. And they've had Burlington Communications up, I think, 3 different times, and nothing gets better. Maybe we just need totally new radios, maybe that's the problem. But yeah, everything's good, man. Replacing a couple of antennas, they clean up some stuff
Yeah.
and test it, and yeah, things are fine, everything's good, that's up. But if you put it out in the field and one person on one antenna, one on the other, they can't even communicate. It's ridiculous. There's gotta be something better.
Well, we
Gotta be.
got a similar thing on our farm, too. Some radio work great, and others,
Yeah, I know.
and I know
they
some of
need
it, you know, for us, with the tractors, the newer ones, they're not grounded as good.
Yeah, oh, for sure, yeah.
They gotta find the right
The
spot,
antenna's not grounded good, then that makes a world of difference, for sure.
but if these guys have been coming up, they should be able to find something like that. and-
Oh, they'll find a little something, they haven't
Yeah.
cured the problem. And then they offered us, they said, well, the way to go is with digital radios, but then you gotta pay for a service. You use their radios and you pay for this service, sort of like having a cell phone, I guess. And then it's off satellite, so as you can talk to somebody in Plattsburgh or Troy or wherever, you can talk about anywhere. So I don't know what that would cost, it'd be changing the radios, and then, like I said, you have to, they provide a service, so you'd be paying so much a month. And I don't know, maybe that's the only answer to get things better, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So your radios work off the same antenna that these guys are? The same clear-
Well, it's the same frequency, but it's just, we're more, they're more like, you don't, well, you talk to each other, but mainly you're to St. Albans
Right.
into Central is most of your communication, right? And so from your truck to truck, you're good, you don't really have much trouble.
So far, I mean, we have 100-watt radios, so it's a little
I
better.
think that's probably why.
Yeah,
And I understand we have hills and we're gonna have some tough spots, but it's, it used to be a lot better. And the federal government made them go from wideband to narrowband, so they cut all the frequencies in half so that they could allow more people to use them. And they said then that when they did that, that the reception was gonna be worse, for sure. So, and it definitely didn't improve. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see if their change out made any difference with us. Our issue was kind of intermittent. And they said the wiring in our radio system is pretty old in the station. And they said because some of the wiring can become degraded and we can make loose connections, and that can create an intermittent issue. But they swapped out the modules, so we'll see if it holds out to make a difference. And then we had a visit from the fire inspector. They were notified by the company that comes and looks at our fire alarms, that one of our alarms was an ionization alarm versus a photoelectric alarm. So he advised us that we needed to replace that, which we did. I contacted him, sent him the picture of the correct alarm that's supposed to be. That was the only issue that he found. So we resolved that pretty quickly.
Was it not Sunray anymore, but
Summit.
Summit?
They didn't tell us. We
Okay.
didn't even know about the problem until the fire marshal showed up.
Right. So they came and did the inspection?
Yeah, they've been doing an inspection every,
When was the date of that? June?
21st?
yeah,
I think it was June, yeah.
they usually come between June and July.
I've called them probably 4 times to try to get them to come and inspect on at the garage, and the insurance company comes, sees that it's not
Yeah,
updated, then you
they're
can't.
two different companies though. This building has always used a company called Summit.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't, okay.
Yeah.
So what's Sunray called then? Sunray has a different name, I know
Let
Sunray.
me see if I can pull it. They are different.
Well, I think we need to
That's
maybe
the same place
switch.
as the Opera House. That's what I'm calling to.
Yeah, so the Opera House, we had a call there
Saturday
Saturday.
or something.
It's a bad detector. That one hasn't been inspected since 22. So I'm surprised the insurance company hasn't put up a
They
fuss
don't,
about
they have to
that.
come in and look. You know.
The only way the garage got done last year, I called them like 3 different times and said, oh, this is ridiculous. You gonna come do this or not? The insurance comes and inspects. They're gonna, that's gonna be one of the things they're gonna say, and it's not. They need to get it done. So finally they did. This year I called, and every time I call, talk to some woman who, well, I'll pass the message on to so-and-so, he's the one that does all the inspections. And the last time I said, well, this is ridiculous, I called you like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, I know, I'll tell him you really need it done urgently to get in touch with you. That was a month ago, I haven't heard nothing.
So we got Summit on
On this building
this building.
alone. And then all of the other buildings that have alarms is through Sunray. But they just sold out to a company out of Colorado, I think it is. I have it on my computer, I can't bring it up on my phone.
Okay.
And so they haven't been as, it used to be good, like Joey said. But
Yeah, they
Brenda
used to
had
come on
trouble
their own,
with
they just pop in and do an annual
Yeah.
an
inspection.
alarm was going off, so she called me, she said, I think you need to come and do your inspection and replace batteries. I said, what do you mean replace the batteries? Well, that we pay you for monitoring, just like he's had problems. And now the Opera House. So while I'm talking to them about the Opera House, talk to them about the highway village, but they do the garage, Opera House, and the library.
I think we should tell them that we're considering swapping
Well, I
companies.
think we need to.
We need to get one company, do them all.
But
Yeah.
I wasn't happy with this other company because they didn't tell us that we would have findings or a problem because we were taking care of it.
So they found the issue, notified the fire marshal, but didn't tell
Didn't
us to
tell.
fix the issue.
So the fire marshal says,
The
how
fire
come you
marshal
gonna?
shows up and says, hey,
Okay,
But it's fixed now.
it
yeah,
is fixed now.
alright.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, they make money doing it. It's like $300-400 for them to come and do the state inspection. They just basically do a drill and just.
Well, and it
turn
takes
on.
up your time too, to have to call 3 or 4 times, you know what I mean? It's just another
They
thing.
notify
that you
Central,
have to do.
okay, we're gonna do a test, and they do the test, and yeah, everything's working, or it's not, or we gotta do this, we gotta fix that, and so they get at least $300, almost $300-400 just to do the
Yeah.
inspection. They slap a new sticker on it with a new year, 2024 or whatever the year might be. So I don't know why they're, I'm sure like everybody else, they're short of help.
Yeah,
And the last time that I remember last year when they came, it was actually a subcontractor that they had doing it. They had somebody that could sell that to go in.
Yeah, it would be nice to have them all on one.
Yeah,
Well, maybe I'll just make phone call to Summit and get the price for the next one.
and they could come into town and do them all in one day.
Because I don't know with the boards and all the wiring
Yeah, you
and
gotta
all that
change,
stuff,
you
if
gotta
you can
change all
just
of that.
switch.
Yeah, if you could just pull out one and put the other one in,
Yeah, that's what,
type of thing, sure would be nice.
probably can, but we can call.
Yeah.
Because we have to find somebody with the armory in there.
Right. Okay.
So that was the fire alarms. We had our annual holiday party, which was great. We had a great venue with these skates, they did an amazing job. The party was actually donated to us. They asked to be named anonymous, but we were very grateful for the anonymous person that paid for our holiday party.
well,
It was greatly appreciated.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was huge, very unexpected, so they were very nice, and he's treated us very well. They have a great
She always
venue
is.
there. Yeah.
Where'd you do it?
At the, I was thinking the name, Stonebrook.
And you were able to give the gift items and
Yep.
everything?
Yeah, that's what I was actually
Oh,
telling you guys, this is what.
yeah, oh, that's
everybody
nice,
received.
good,
So they were all
very
very grateful.
nice.
Everybody was happy, we opened this little ditty bag when they do it overnights, it's easy for them to bring with them. Hello, Bean. And then lastly, just some personnel updates. I do have an application to be reviewed from AEMT, and then just a look at our current roster that I've highlighted a couple individuals that haven't worked in quite some time, and with the board permission, I'd like to send them a letter. So the application is, so Christina, she is actually a RN. She's a nurse who also works on the ambulance service. She's done it for many years over in Orleans County. She is working to bridge her AEMT license. She actually is scheduled to test to get her AEMT license. She used to work on MVAS, which went under, and so she's looking to get back on the ambulance and work with us as an AEMT. Shay and I interviewed her, and she was very nice, very knowledgeable. She has a bachelor's in nursing, and she's got quite a bit of experience working in the medical field, working on the ambulance, and working in the emergency department as well. So looking at her current roster, with one of the individuals that I have highlighted that hasn't worked in quite some time, just to fill that spot on the roster. So I'm not really looking to add to the roster, more or less add a personnel that has availability to work. She works a full-time job at an outpatient clinic Monday through Friday, but she said she primarily has availability to work weekends, and weekends is my big thing for personnel.
And then our email, she likes animals.
She loves horses. She travels to do horse competitions.
Okay. Yeah.
She trailers to all the way to Texas. Her mother is actually one of our paramedics. It's Jennifer P.E.G's daughter. She works for us.
Nice.
So are these two separate, like you had mentioned, the highlighted?
Yeah.
So that, would the letter just be something about, like, do you have everything that you need for that letter? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, if you have any of our equipment, please return it.
Yeah.
If you change your mind, please let me know.
So I highlighted these two individuals so you can see the last shift they actually worked and the last time they even logged into a lab tech to look at shifts. And both of them are over 6 months since they worked the shift here. Which is fine. I know one of them is in PA school right now and I'm working on getting a degree to become a PA.
What's the fifth one down from the bottom yellow?
Oh, the gray one?
No, go bottom yellow. Now go down 5. 12-8 and, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
12-8 and 2-5.
They logged into their a lab tech account.
Oh,
So I compared the two to see, that's my way of kind of looking to see if they're actually going to look to pick up shifts.
Right.
So if they're actually making an effort.
Oh, so they're not actually looking, I mean, you're just using the lab tech as a
it's a tool.
tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It records everything.
Alright, so, okay, no,
So I give a little bit of leniency on that if they're looking, because our
Yeah.
schedule is pretty full and,
Yep.
I get that. But if they haven't worked a shift in over 6 months and they haven't logged into a lab tech team and look to see if they can pick up a shift.
Especially with
Okay.
how everything changes too, with equipment and
Exactly.
training and like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, exactly.
So this Christina started young, well, that's education. Oh, okay, that's her schooling. I was thinking when she was working for that service.
Oh, gotcha.
Let me see.
Yeah, she
But
worked
it's
on,
just written on the bottom, she worked for many years.
so she worked for MVAS many years, she worked on Morrisville as well. And she's she's currently employed by Morrisville per diem, she's looking to work somewhere a little closer to where she lives, in Jay. Instead of traveling to Morrisville, she said she'd rather travel to a closer location.
Well, she did start in 2018, so she was in school. I'll make a motion to accept the application of Christina Young.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to accept Christina Young's job application. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Have a new employee.
And then the last thing is just you guys' permission to go ahead and, if you guys would like to review the letter first, I can do that. If you're okay with me going ahead and sending the letter to these two individuals that have worked here in a period of time.
It's the standard one, right?
Yeah,
Nothing mean or hostile.
right.
Threatening.
Don't give it to me.
Listen here.
Exactly.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, those. They got radios and
Yep.
supplies or
That's
anything.
an honest, they don't have any vehicle. But if they do, we'll send them
In the letter, does it say like, you people will come back if you, okay?
Yeah, it's not on, well, I guess that's your guys' decision.
Well, I was just wondering, I just was curious if it.
The original one used to say, if your circumstances change,
Right,
and you feel like you have interest in us, please keep us in mind.
That's a nice, you know, I don't know.
If the door's open
Yeah.
to kicking you in the answer, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So I
either way is fine.
I'll make sure it's in there as they are eligible for reemployment.
Okay, that's, yeah, that's what I.
There's only a few people that doesn't
She
apply
stayed
to.
with it.
Keep people away, yes, I know.
All right, that's really all I have for tonight.
Thanks, Gary.
Anything for me?
No, thank you for, how are you doing?
Thank you.
So next meeting, we have to have to go over the budget. I'll have everything kind of finalized for that.
Yeah, I got a good jump on that.
Yeah, I'm trying to start the game on that one. I've got baby coming in 10 weeks, so.
Oh,
He's got to.
Get ahead of schedule.
Exactly.
Do
Prepare.
you know if it's a girl or boy?
Girl.
Oh, it's a girl.
Valentine's baby.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the doctors say March 14th.
Oh, March,
But we think it's gonna go sooner than that.
Our meeting
Yeah, you
day.
never know.
I know. All times.
Good, good.
I was due
Should be fine.
with Brady in March and had him in February, so you never know.
If it's my wife's way, it'll be a week early.
However.
She's had her for a little bit. Well, we went to the Bills game, she did well with that.
And she's on, she got a booze and she got
Why?
a tear.
My nephew went there yesterday, right?
You went a week ago.
Oh,
Nephew?
you went, did you go to the Bills
Oh,
Patriots
yeah.
yesterday?
No, the Bills Jets.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, good.
Yeah, the doctor told me that she's pulled deer out, she harvested a moose.
She might go late.
Don't need to worry about her, right?
She takes care of her own.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'll keep you guys posted.
Those
Thank you.
pigs, those pigs are really nice.
Is there,
Can I
you
see
ever,
the
you
inside?
ever bought one?
No.
Oh, I have one for travel.
LLB.
From LLB. It's nice to like,
Lifetime
there's a,
guarantees,
if you unzip it, there's a hook in
Can
there,
I-
so it can hang
Sorry.
from.
I don't wanna
hangs
unzip
from
your
the
bag.
shower.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's tucked in.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
There, there.
Good one.
They're very nice, thank you. I really do like them. Because
When you guys
I
want to see
should
it.
hold some of my stuff.
It's under your.
Oh, them
Sorry.
guys.
Yeah.
Watch it.
I've gone by, I thought we'd go, there's a truck up here.
All right,
Garrett.
thank you guys.
No,
See ya.
thank you.
And the BJ's
See ya. See ya.
Who's going?
Yeah, it's very,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, once we find out more.
Okay,
Yeah.
that works for me.
No sense in giving bad news.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
See you later.
Yeah.
Good.
So, you're up, Joey.
Okay, bring it on. Try to make it quick. Pretty simple stuff, some manual stuff, yeah. So, look. Highway mileage certificate, the certificate that we fill out, sign every year. If we make any changes to road reclassification, that's how they determine, the state determines our state aid each year. Depending upon the amount of mileage you have for class, we don't have any class 1 here in the town, the village, that's what, class 2 and 3 roads, and times the rate, which I'm not sure what the rate's gonna be for 2025, because I haven't seen that yet, that'll probably be coming along. So we didn't make any changes this last year, so like we have in the past, with discontinuation roads or changing the classification from class 4 to trails like we have, so you just simply place an X in the box if you haven't made any changes, and you guys need to sign it, village owner needs to sign it and made it, and you filed it, and then I can send it to them, send it back to them. Next thing I got is, I guess, your approval. Every year I keep track of the work that we do for general fund purposes, such as plowing the fire station, opera house, dry hydrant, et cetera, and any other work that we do for around the building here or other general fund purposes, and I've got it broke down here. What we kept track of for each. So for instance, there was the eclipse preparation and cleanup that we did some work down here for April 8th eclipse. 9/27/91 for that. Came down here, did some work checking on the pump station one day, was having some issues, some labor there. Moving blocks at the Opera House for Gary Day, putting up signs and a basket up here at the dog park. Moving blocks at the Opera House another time for Annie play that they had, they wanted to do additional. Cutting up a tree at the dry hydrant over here, the Wrens. Some labor, we had our chipper there and stuff. They'll send that back with their approval on there. And I don't know if they send it to you, but if they don't, I'll send it to you. Putting up signs at the Opera House, and then we graded the Opera House parking lot this fall. And then we did some work up here, we graded the back driveway and put some gravel down, and we moved the file cabinet for Garrett while we were here. And then the plowings for this last year, so the plowings are 176 plowings, that's $5 a ton. That was the rate we come up with 2 years ago, so, and that's the amount of times I plow here and the dry hydrants in the Opera House. And if I plow and then salt it, that counts as another time, so So that's the breakdown, actually, that's like the summary. This is the breakdown of each thing, how much, who did what. And it puts a total of 17,000 something there of transfer money from the general fund to the highway. And that's including our fringe benefits on our salaries, like I know you requested last year that I redid it last year. It's not just the hourly rate, it's the fringe benefit rate, so. For labor. And the equipment rates are state rates that we use when we do a grant, whatever. And materials that we use are based off in what it would cost to buy the same material, equivalent material at Leach's up here, so they're new prices. So the gravel, for instance, I think is, the stream gravel, probably $7 a yard, probably, or $10 a yard. Stream gravel. It's there somewhere. So that's how we come up with those prices. I think they're all fair.
Yeah, it was last year on 15, 18.
I don't have the town report.
I left mine on my desk.
Yeah, I think so.
Somewhere just,
We always budget, plan on like 12-ish, because
yeah,
that's what the plowing's usually, and I think the plowing's 11 something.
Yeah, 1170, or 11.7.
For the plowing.
Yeah.
So plowings you can always count on, the other stuff you don't know what we're gonna, if you're even gonna
right.
ask to do any of that stuff, so. We had asked to do more this year than we generally have in the past. And I don't know this next year when we do budget, I don't know if we should anticipate any more, but I think maybe stick with 12, because you know exactly what the plowing is gonna be, but if you're gonna pave the yard, you may get some involvement in that too, I don't know, maybe ask to do something.
You're not gonna get another eclipse this year.
No, no, you don't have that one. I don't think they'll be around when that one comes in.
That was kinda cool though, I wish there wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
oh,
looked pretty neat.
absolutely.
The height was amazing.
Yeah.
The height
And I think it was worth it, I mean, it was, I wish it would last. It was very cool.
Yeah, it was. I
Yeah,
sat back
something-
behind the house and I watched your solar lights come on,
Yeah.
right during the day. The sun was going over the thing,
Yeah, I
the thing
don't-
just started popping on, I'm like, well, that's.
I don't think you realize how cool it was until it
Yeah.
actually happened. I'm like, we should be at a party.
And we were watching
You know
some
what I mean?
crows, we were watching some crows, they were very confused.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, they were flying around with a light and all of a sudden they got dark and they just were like, it was crazy, they didn't know which way to
Right.
go.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
some
saying,
people that had chickens,
two of us,
and like,
that's why they get so
chickens
big,
are-
that big.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
no,
because they
it
laid
would've just
night
been
chicken
weird.
Yeah. This is weird.
When I said Barbie, I meant my mom.
Yeah, pretty amazing, something like
It's a
that.
party.
Everybody
Oh,
around just
Imagine
switched
that in
it
their
up.
deer season,
Really? Watch TV.
they start coming out early.
Yeah.
Oh, she told me, she did, yeah, I think she's done now though.
Oh, yeah, we need a motion on
I think
this,
she knows
general
me, probably
fund,
can change it.
yeah,
Oh, are they really?
to accept it.
I'll move.
Do you need this, Billy Joe?
Nope, I just got.
I'll second.
There's a number of them.
So who motion?
I did.
You did.
Phil seconded. I moved and seconded to accept the 17,263.78
gotta bring your dishes back.
to go to the, for the town highway expenses for the general fund. Any discussion? Everybody aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? It passes.
I got another letter here, similar, I guess, to what Garrett just gave you for our unused vacation time for myself and for Lucius. I had 120 hours that I didn't use. Lucius had 65 and a half hours that he didn't use. For both had 160 hours, which was 4 weeks. They both been over 20 years. So I basically didn't take much, I only half a
Kinda filling in some extra shoes
A
for a
little rough
while.
year, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Definitely
I
understand.
normally, like the week after our rifle is done, I usually go to New Hampshire or Maine, first I'm gone for that week, and then the following week I muzzle load here to home. That's about the time that somebody decided to get done.
Yeah.
So the fill-in guy that I was gonna have to fill in my space while I was hunting then became the full-time, part-time guy, because the other guy was gone. As you all know, he left us on Christmas, on
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving Day.
Just sometimes your first blowing.
Yeah, it was pretty much, yeah.
But we haven't hired.
So that's my request,
Yeah.
our request, I should say.
That's just the two of you.
Yep. Yeah, because Mark, that part-time guy he was gonna go to Maine and hunt and stuff, and he said he'd be available after Thanksgiving, so it's all perfect. Because usually the following week I go somewhere. And then the following week I hunt to home, so it didn't work out good.
I like
Yeah.
that. Full-time, part-time.
Part-time turned into, full-time when we need it.
Yeah.
It's been lucky to be able to get him to do it. He's very close by and he's willing to do it.
Time of year too. You never know what you're
Yeah.
gonna, call for maybe another possible
Yeah.
storm this coming weekend.
Yeah, tonight actually.
Oh, tonight?
Yeah,
Into-
and
It's gonna be a
this
long
weekend.
hot season.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
single day.
Kinda dire
This one's gonna
circumstances.
last for like 3 days, and
I'll
then
make a
Friday's a little
motion
break,
to,
and then another one
Yeah,
this
that's
weekend
what I saw
possibly.
was possible,
Paying out
yeah.
Joey and Lucius for the unused vacation time.
I'll second.
This is mine.
Yep.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on it?
I'm frozen.
For paying out Joey and Lucius for their unused vacation times? All those in favor? Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Nay? We appreciate you doing that, Joey. You and Lucius both of you?
Yep.
Well, appreciate your dedication for sure.
Definitely.
Definitely. Hopefully it works out better next year, so you
Yeah,
can
it
keep it all
probably
break.
will, hopefully.
Have we had any applicants?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll discuss that here in
Yeah.
next year or shortly. So we've ordered a truck, I think Larry and Dean were communicating with them after the last meeting, and agreed to let me get my questions answered and my investigation done, and then move forward, and I checked with both of them prior, so we ended up ordering a Western Star 47X series, and I negotiated pricing on them a little bit, so we got them down another $4,000 from what they were. They were at 174, 510, and now down to 170, 510, which puts them more actually in the same area as the HX, the HX International. The only difference being is the HX International had a 15-liter engine, this 47X has a 13-liter engine, but actually has more horsepower than the HX is offering, same amount of torque. So basically, if you compared apples to apples, the HX and the 49X are comparable, so that would make it about $4,000 difference, because they said about $4,000 more for a 49X than a 47. So, in that theory, if you went with that, then the Western Star is like $4,000 more than the International. Not a lot of difference, just said what it is you're lengthening, it's a longer motor, bigger motor, so you gotta have a longer chassis, it's about 10 inches longer, the hood and the cab frame. And the difference in the engine, so that's about $2,000, and difference in the engine is about $2,000, $2,500 or something, so. like $4,000 different, which I don't think you're gaining anything. They said the only thing that you would really gain is like if you're traveling on the interstate long grades, then the bigger engine, 15-inch engine probably would pull that hill a little higher RPM before you clear the top than
Is this the automatic or
standard 18s. Yeah. So total in the plow package we ordered back the 1st of July was $114,400. So plus the $175,10 is $284,910 for the total package for the truck.
Do you know when we're gonna need the money, to get the money to?
Well, the truck should be here by July, so it'll be built in April, May, or June. Depends upon where the slot that it fits into. So in July it should be here, and yeah, so that's when they'll want their money for the truck. We haven't paid for the equipment yet until they install, I guess. They haven't asked for anything.
So are you trading in?
I haven't talked anything about trade. I guess we can ask them what they would give us for it for trade and go from there. I just figure if we don't talk trade, these numbers should be a little better.
Yeah, usually they are.
And then if we talk trade and say, what do you give us? So that doesn't tell us what they'll give us. They won't.
It gives us something to work from.
Right, give us something to work from. I got a feeling they're not gonna offer much, because even the international people said that, when they, let's get this Max Force engine, and when they mentioned that to their used truck person that apparently buys a lot of their used trucks, they don't even wanna hear nothing about that, and they don't wanna hear about that. They'll give them something for it, but they don't wanna give them very much, because in turn, they can't sell it, because everybody has this bad thought in their head about the Max Force engines. So I guess we can see what they would give us for it. And maybe they'll say, yeah, we really don't want it, but they may. I'd be surprised, I guess.
Give us an idea and then.
Give us an idea
Maybe
and
we
then
can ask, could see if we wanna sell it outright or ask for.
put it out to bid
For
and then
bids,
see
yeah.
how close that comes to what they're gonna give.
And with this truck, did you ask them about warranties and buying an extra one?
I do have the information on that he gave me in October, and I assume it probably is still good, but we didn't talk about, this doesn't cover any of that. I didn't really talk about it much. So if you bought the extended warranty, and it's for 84 months, 100,000 miles. And truck coverage is 84 months, 100,000 miles. Transmission's 84 months, unlimited miles. Axle warranty is 60 months. And then towing is 84 months. So basically it's a 7-year deal.
full warranty? Sounds pretty like a full warranty.
Yeah, so those are the prices. It totals up to $17,675 if we went. And like I said, I don't know, maybe these prices aren't good right now. This is newer than this was. This is back when I talked to them in October, but I think that probably still stands pretty close. I don't think that's something that you don't need to buy it till you get the truck. I think even there's a time frame, like within a year afterwards, you can still.
Because you
just
have a
extend-
warranty and then this is on.
Right, right, and then the standard warranty will be like a year or whatever,
A year.
but maybe.
$170,000 to get a 1-year warranty.
Yeah,
Is that all they have?
That's a good year.
Warranty on them, it's a year?
Maybe two.
yeah, it probably is, just the standard
We
warranty.
usually get the extended ones.
Yeah,
It's
I
gonna
don't
pay
know,
for
I
itself.
Yeah,
I
for
can-
sure. So especially 7
I
years.
can find
How
out.
much is it? Well, yeah, that's like one repair on one of those trucks.
Yeah.
It can be, yeah. But in all them little warranties, there's a little fine print.
Yeah,
Oh,
something that might not be
There's
covered.
stuff,
Yeah.
wear items is one,
Yeah.
so obviously tires, brakes,
I mean, that doesn't cover a warranty.
no, wear items.
Wear something out or.
Sometimes there's little, yeah, that doesn't really covered because that's not part of.
But what you've had with those problems with other trucks has been the bigger stuff, motors and stuff like that, right?
The emissions stuff, yeah, with that max force, there's more emissions than anything else. With the EG air coolers, turbos.
Yeah.
So probably, I would think that we've been getting the extended warranty when the time comes, or like I said, maybe now is the time to buy it, because maybe the price is better now than it will be when it does get built in July, when we get it in July. I can ask if they anticipate that the price is gonna be jumping up or not. If these prices here are still good, maybe we do wanna purchase it now, or when we purchase a truck.
Right. That's right.
And yeah, and I do want to talk about in applicants, I guess you could say. Probably, yeah.
I'll move to go into executive session, discuss, articles.
I'll second.
Been moved
We
and,
only have executive.
been moved and seconded to go into executive, for employee personnel reasons. Any discussion? See none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? We are in executive at 7:53.